Welcome to the Jesse Coomer podcast. I am excited today to be talking to Dr. Elena Seranova. She is an expert in aging and longevity, and also she's somewhat of an entrepreneur as well. She's started a company called NMN Bio, and I'm really excited to talk to you, Dr. Seranova. If you don't mind, just kind of give us an idea. What is it? What is the whole longevity focus in general? What is it that you focus on? And then also, what is this NMN thing?
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on the channel. I'm really excited to be here. So I do hold a PhD in stem cell biology, but I'm also the founder of NMN Bio, which is an anti-aging supplement company. And this is what we will be focusing on today. Our first compound, which is called NMN, or Nicotinamide Mononucleotide. So NMN is a form of vitamin B3. So it can naturally be found in some foods such as broccoli and tomatoes and avocados, things like that, but in quite minuscule quantities, really. So that's the reason why we need to basically supplement with it. And the reason why it's so important and is such an impressive supplement is because it can affect your levels of NAD, or nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide. So NAD is a very essential molecule. So it's implicated in over 50% of all of the physiological reactions that are going on in the cell. So imagine that. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So the reason why NAD is so important is because it coordinates quite a few processes in the cell. And one of its most vital functions is to serve as a fuel for the genes that are called sirtuins. So sirtuins are a family of genes. So there is 7 of them in humans. And what they do is they basically act as cells administrators. So they delegate tasks and they decide which genes will be switched on and which genes will be switched off, which is really cool and affects both the functionality of the cell, but also the cell identity. So for example, in a neuron, you would have some genes switched on and switched off, but in a liver cell, you will have completely different sets of genes switched on and switched off. And this is what gives the cell its identity. And also this relates to different functions that need to be upregulated or downregulated in different cells. So this is why sirtuins are so important. Not only that, but there are also some sirtuin genes that are coordinating how many mitochondria will be produced within your cell. So as you may know, mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell. So yes, they are responsible for our energy production. And this is why mitochondrial biogenesis, or the production of mitochondria, is related to one's energy levels. Very important function, as well as DNA repair, which is something else that sirtuins are responsible for. So for example, when we are exposed in sunlight and we have some DNA breaks on our skin, sirtuins will be the first genes that will go on the side and will start repairing the DNA. So super cool, super vital for survival, obviously.
Right.
Because, you don't want to be accumulating all of these DNA mutations and so on. And this is why you need your sirtuins to always be functioning well. But what happens is that, as we said, sirtuins need NAD as a fuel for them to work. But as we age, NAD is actually declining. And this is where NMN comes in. Because, as we age, after, the age of 25, most of the adults that I'm talking to, they already feel, more tiredness and fatigue, things like that. So they're not, they can't take a hangover as well as they could in their early 20s, right?
I can vouch for that. Yeah, that tracks. Yeah.
Absolutely. It hit me like a train at 27.
Well, that's awesome. So as far as these sirtuins go, obviously we're looking to increase this in our lives, and so this is stuff that you study. Just this is your realm of study, and so you started this company, this NMN company. But the thing that we haven't talked about, and you mentioned this last time I talked to you when I reached out to you, I believe you started it like right either as you were finishing your PhD or like right after. So that sounds pretty brutal coming from a guy. I'm an English professor, so I've gone through grad school. My wife's in her doctoral. She's at the last part of her doctoral. Just for everybody listening, that is a brutal time, just in general, just to be alive, right? So then you decided, hey, I need something to do with my spare time. Talk to us.
Which I don't have.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So where did this come from? The idea to say, hey, okay, obviously, the value of these compounds that are out there. The value of NAD and all this other stuff. Yeah. But what led you to start this company?
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell you a bit about this. So as I was going through my PhD, and I do have an interdisciplinary profile myself. So I first started with psychology, actually. So my first degree was psychology and cognitive neuroscience. And then I kind of got interested in the human brain, and I wanted to know more about how it functions and what basically makes us see those symptoms that we see in patients with psychological disorders, with neurological disorders, and so on. So I kind of started studying neuroscience myself, just online, right? And then at some point I found this really cool degree at the University of Sheffield in the UK in translational neuroscience, which is basically a combination of genetics and neuroscience. And it involved translational research to basically see how a wet lab research can basically translate into therapeutics, things like that. So, and then this is where I kind of got myself into a wet lab with like biology and molecular biology experiments for the first time, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Nice.
So this is where my interest for biology and for translational neuroscience was really born. And then I said, okay, you know what? I need to study this more. Like, this is so cool. Yeah. And then I was looking for different PhD projects, and then I found one that was quite related to what I was doing for my master's degree project, which was related to neurodegeneration and autophagy, which is another cellular process that is very, very vital for our cells and for clearing out different toxins from our cells. Dysfunctional mitochondria are also being cleared by autophagy, things like that. Aggregate prone proteins, which is actually something that we're seeing quite a lot in neurodegenerative disorders such as Alzheimer's disease and so on. So we have those aggregate prone proteins floating around in the neurons, and then you have all of this Alzheimer's symptoms. So I said, okay, this is really, really cool. I need to do this. This is how I got myself into my PhD project. And then my PhD project was in stem cell biology. And then I was studying the role of autophagy in neurodegeneration in stem cell derived cells, such as neurons, which was really, really cool because I was literally growing neurons in the lab from stem cells. And, at some point I was working something like 16 hours a day, and I was just and for 9 steps, I was just in the cell culture, like differentiating those cells and feeding the stem cells and the neurons, and it was crazy. But I was feeling, like I was feeling like I was doing something so cool.
Yeah, so you can't dedicate your time. Yeah, you can't dedicate 16 hours a day unless you're just having fun and you're just really into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like you lose yourself completely in this process, and this is something that you can do only if you really love what you do, because it's literally not possible otherwise. Like I remember at some point I was waking up at 6 a.m. and I was going home at midnight. So it was like really, really crazy. I mean, this is where
that's so awesome. That's passion, though. That's what I'm hearing right now. It's like
I was obsessed with it.
Yeah, that is an obsession, right? That absolutely is 6 to midnight. I mean, that's a pretty good shift.
It was pretty cool. It was really hard to do on a PhD salary because it's literally like a minimum salary in the UK. But it is what it is. Anyway, so as I was doing my research, and at some point I was getting quite tired of it as well eventually, because it was quite challenging. And then our research actually led us to NAD and its connection to autophagy. And unfortunately, I can't say more about this because our paper is still not out, and hopefully
come on.
It's actually, it went for review a couple of weeks ago. So, we're on good track.
All right.
So, fingers crossed. Let's see
next time we're talking about that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And then we basically started studying how NAD is implicated in in neurodegeneration and in cellular health and things like that. And at some point we were really getting into this kind of sphere, and this is where I realized, okay, those are some very interesting molecules, and there are already some NAD boosters in the market that people can actually take as a supplement. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm tired all the time because I'm working all the time, so let's just buy one of those from Amazon and see what happens, right? And yes. I really love supplements in general. Like, I have a bunch of supplements that I'm taking for many years now. So I said, okay, let me try this one out. And then I got so fascinated by it, because usually when I start taking a new supplement, it takes a couple of weeks or a few weeks to kick in. But with NMN, after a couple of days, I was able to feel the difference. And I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. This
isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah, I remember at some point a friend called me, and it was like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., whatever, and I was still in the lab, and he's like, okay, wow, you're not tired today, are you? I'm like, no, I'm tired. I'm like, oh, wow.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, so I got really interested in this compound, and then I realized that it's actually very hard to find pure product, pure NMN that has all of the certificate of analysis, because I'm really into my supplements, so I'm always researching the company and the certificates that they're providing, the testings, and things like that. It was really, really hard to see. However, I could see there were so many vendors on Amazon that were sold out. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, so there's quite a lot of demand here.
Yeah, and actually, this is why I reached out to you in the first place. NMN, NR, these supplements, I've known about them for a few years, and I kind of would sample, but like, you don't know much about what you get on Amazon, and you just kind of are like, I guess this is what it is. And so I'm assuming this is what led you to saying, okay, I got to do it myself.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it myself. If you want something to be done well, you need to do it yourself.
That's what I'm talking about. That's exactly. Oh, write that down, everybody. That's so true. So true. Yeah, so you started this, you started finding, I guess, reputable sources of it, or how did all that start?
Yeah, I did my initial research to see if it was feasible at all, in terms of finances and things like that, how much capital I would need, and all of this. So this took some time. So this brings us to summer of 2020, where I already wrapped up my lab work, and I'm now, just writing my PhD thesis. So I'm mostly at home. I'm in quarantine in the UK. Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
It's a wonderful summer there. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I just started, putting everything together and kind of researching the logistics and things like that, and understanding what I actually need to put the company together, and what I need in order to ensure that my customers would get very pure product. So, I started looking into different certificates of analysis, different testing. I realized that some companies are actually not testing their product at each batch, which was really frustrating. So there were companies that have a certificate of analysis from 2 years ago, and there is no way it's still the same batch, right?
Let's hope not, at least.
Yeah, so things like that. And then I basically launched the company with a complete transparency in mind, in terms of our supply chain, in terms of what we do and the testing that we're doing at each batch, because I said, you know what, this is the value proposition for the customer. This is what I want to be doing. I want a supplement that everyone will know that, it will be pure when they take it, it will be clean. This is why we're testing for heavy metals, for microorganisms as well, for purity. We're testing for pH, which is another indicator of purity for NMN, because it's an acidic powder. So then the natural pH, it's about between 2.5 and 4 on a scale of pH. So, we kind of confirm at every batch that we have a very, very good product. And this is why our customers love us, right? So,
Yeah.
we're growing quite fast, and we have a very high customer return rate. I think it's something
That's always a good sign.
Yeah,
people actually say, well, let's try it again. And this is something where with supplements, I take a lot of supplements too. I know we only have so much time today. That's going to be a whole nother episode where we just kind of, we could just compare. But that's one of the things that I always got frustrated with, because supplementation it's not really that regulated, at least here in the United States. I don't know, it's a little bit more regulated in Europe, I believe, but in the United States, I mean, you could just like have Frank's supplements or whatever, and then it's some guys in a garage sticking stuff in pills. So it's so nice when someone is transparent like that. And that's again, one of the reasons why I reached out to you about it, because I'd seen one of your interviews talking about this, and I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm looking for. So you've got, whenever a person goes to your site, I'm pretty sure you show them all this stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in one of the product images. So if you click on the product images, one of them will be the certificate of analysis of the current batch. And we always third-party test at each batch to ensure that, everything is there, and, we do what we have to do.
Yeah. That's awesome. Now, okay. So we know it's a real product, and okay, so it's cool. I got the product. But now here's some things that I'm wondering about as far as like how to take it, some dosage things and stuff like that. I've just started on it as of I think I'm almost a week deep into taking my NMN, and it was about day 3 or 4 that I started to say, okay, at first it was just like, well, maybe that there was a little more caffeine in my coffee this morning or something like that. And so now, the really cool thing is I'm doing a lot of study, learning a lot of new modalities in the evenings. And that's usually, I work crazy all day. And again, it's a passion thing, you know how that goes, but it's generally in the evenings, whenever it's like kind of quiet, that I actually have the time to study new things, but I don't always have the bandwidth and the energy to do it. So, and the cool thing is it's not like caffeine energy, right? So it's not, at least this is so far, I'm still early in my NMN. It's hard not to say M&M sometime, like the candies. So
right?
Just say it. That was a side note. But anyway, I'm early into my dosage, and I'm only taking right now 500 milligrams. And early on, actually, whenever I first started, we had talked whenever we were getting this started, and you're like, okay, start off with the 500 and then work your way up to 1,000. But you got to understand, I'm an American. Okay. And so we're always like, if a little's good, just take more. Right. And so you say, no, wait about a week, and then go up to 1 gram. And so let's talk just a little bit about, of course, why that is. And then, cause I'm like, hey, I can't wait to take the gram. I want to, and then also, if a person's taking this product, and guys, at the end of this, I'll have a discount code for everybody who'd like to try this form of NMN. How do we take it? What can we expect? Are there any groups of people that shouldn't take it? Like, as far as safety, are there any safety issues that we should be aware of?
Absolutely. So I think that in terms of dosage, it's nice to kind of start with a small dosage and then build your way up, just to see how your body is responding to it. So there is one perhaps group of people that I would say they should be cautious with, and those would be people that might be having some sort of problems with their liver, and they have high homocysteine levels. However, what you can do is you can actually take your NMN with another supplement that is called TMG, or trimethylglycine. And what this does is it actually gives you the methyl groups that NMN consumes, and this way you are balancing out your homocysteine levels. So this is really, really cool. And actually, I wanted to save this for the end of the interview, but I'm going to say
just
now.
lay it on.
We're about to launch our TMG product, which is really, really exciting.
Okay, I've not heard of TMG before. This is cool. Yeah. Tell me more.
You know what? I think that we'll probably record another interview about TMG at a later stage when it's launched in about a month or so. But for now, back to the dosage. I think that it depends on your age as well, and your body composition and things like that. So for example, you're quite a big guy, and we said to start with 500 mg, which I think that you mentioned that you're about 100 kg, just for people to kind of have a reference there. And then so I think that the 500 mg is fine for you to start with. Someone else that is more lightweight would start, let's say, with 250 mg, and then see how they feel. If it's affecting them, if they already feel very well, there is no need to tune it up. But if you want, you can tune it up as well. It definitely doesn't hurt. And
just from this audience is so used to me trying to translate from all the weird measurements we have here in the United States to the measurements that everyone else uses, like Fahrenheit versus Celsius. I'm terrible. And so I sent Elena an email saying I was like, okay, I'm 6'1" tall. So with that, and so I sent an email. I was like, I'm 3 meters tall. And she's like, whoa, that's a little tall. I was like, oh, I mean, let's see. I think I don't know exactly. I should have just used Google, but I was trying to use my brain. So
it's 2 meters.
yeah. So I'm a little closer to 2 meters, a little over 2 meters, I guess. But yeah, as far as are there benefits as far as, would the benefits double as far as countering the aging process if you take a gram as opposed to, a half a gram?
Yeah, this would again depend on your individual needs. And I think this will bring me to my next point about different clinical studies that we've seen so far with NMN. So first, I want to kind of mention what kind of results we've been seeing in animals so far. So and this is what got my attention to NMN in the first place, because as a scientist, I actually went and read a few papers first, and then I saw, oh my God, this compound is amazing. And the reason why I got so interested is because the results were really robust from all of the animal studies. So we have a very, very beneficial profile in terms of lipid metabolism, energy metabolism, basically mitochondrial function, as I said, increase in insulin sensitivity, which has also been traded in humans as well this year, which is really, really cool. And then even improvements with eyesight and hearing in mice and things like that, as well as bone density. So as you can see, there is actually quite a lot of benefits that this compound is offering. And I think that one of the reasons this happens is not because of each individual process itself, but it's because, as we said, it affects the sirtuins, which then kind of do the epigenetic regulation, and they regulate which genes will function better. So this is what we got in animal studies so far. And then in terms of human studies, we have 4 studies that have been published. One was just a safety study with up to 500 mg, and then this was published last year. And then this year, we got 3 efficacy studies being published in the past 2 months, which is amazing.
Nice.
So the first one was what I mentioned before, with pre-diabetic women that were overweight and obese and postmenopausal. And the reason why this group was selected was because in mice, we've seen in a similar population, we've seen a very nice results and responsive results in those mice, female mice. So basically what we did there is the scientists took those overweight and obese pre-diabetic women, and then they measured their NAD levels in muscle tissues and so on. So what they seen is that they had increase in insulin sensitivity, which is like, really, really cool, because it's not even a drug, right? It's a natural compound.
Right.
And the other one that they saw was muscle remodeling, and also an increase in NAD intermediates within the cells. So this means that the overall NAD turnover got increased in the cells, which is really, really cool. And this brings us to the second study, which was done in men, in healthy men over 65, that also saw that NMN is basically preventing the age-related muscle degeneration. So it looks like the muscle tissue in humans is actually quite responsive to NMN, because it actually consumes quite a lot of energy because it's moving, and then this is why we have such good results there. And then this brings us to the third study that literally got published a couple of weeks ago, where this was done in healthy adults of both genders, so males and females from 27 to I think 55 years old, something like that. And nice. The interesting part about the study was that they were basically 4 groups, 1 control, and then 3 groups where one was taking 300 mg of NMN per day, the other one was taking 600, and the third one was taking 1.2 grams. And it still showed that it actually was very safe with completely no side effects. Really, really nice study. So the important point here is that in this study, the NMN increased the aerobic capacity. And I don't know if we should go into more details about this study, or it will become more complicated for your audience.
I tell you, this is a conversation I'd love to dig deeper into, maybe in another talk.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Because I like nerding out. And obviously anyone who's willing to spend from 6 a.m. to midnight, she likes nerding out too. So I'm thinking we're going to do that in the near future. But okay, so NAD, in addition to taking NMN, of course, people in this audience, we love a lot of the things that for instance, that induce hormesis and adapt our bodies to be stronger, healthier, better adapted. What are some other things, though, specifically that you might recommend as far as, other than NAD to boost your or other than NMN to boost your NAD?
Yeah.
Any suggestions?
Absolutely. Yeah, so just to close off what I was saying before was
sorry.
I actually, that's okay. I just wanted to mention from this study, because we did have this different groups in terms of the NMN intake. For some indicators, it looked like the better dosage was actually the 600 mg and not the 1.2 grams. So this is super cool, because it actually shows that maybe the NMN intake should be seen on an individual basis, and not everyone needs 1 gram or 2 grams of NMN and so on. It's just you kind of need to see how you feel on it. And again, I think that it would be a brilliant idea to go into more depth about this study, because I have quite a few points there that we can analyze. And yeah, just a really, really cool point.
And that's one of the things specifically that I focus on is breath work and how there's so much biodiversity in our species, right? And I think this is just another, everybody wants, and I would just love it if everybody could say, okay, take this much of, whatever vitamin, and it's going to work this way every single time. And it's always going to do that. And, oh yeah. And this is always good for you. And always, but yeah, I think that's evident of our biodiversity. So that's really cool. And so going by how you feel, really thinking about your awareness is the best barometer that we have right now.
Yeah, definitely. And then from there, you do indeed need to, kind of see what else is really fit for your own body, because everyone, is doing their own experiment of N = 1, basically.
It's true.
So in terms of the NAD, besides, different supplementation, there's a bunch of other things that you can utilize in order to increase your NAD levels. And as you mentioned, hormesis is actually one of the ways you can do this, because this has to do with the fact that the sirtuin genes themselves, they are basically responding to different stresses. So this is why, another sirtuin activator is resveratrol, actually, because resveratrol is a plant compound that is produced when the plants are stressed. So whenever there is dehydration or there is like some parasite on the plant, the plant will start producing the resveratrol. And this is what activates the sirtuins, because the body or the organism is kind of getting the signal that, oh, okay, so there is something going wrong here. So I better upregulate all of the genes that need to be upregulated here, and kind of have this tighter control of what the cell does. how it functions and what it prioritizes in order to survive. So it's basically a survival circuit, our sirtuins. And this is what we can achieve by going into hormesis. So basically having some light stresses that we kind of basically create for ourselves. So this could be either through, let's say, a sauna that will, again, through the heat shock proteins, will activate the sirtuins, or with a cold bath as well. Or
this audience loves the ice baths. We're all into that.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of videos on your channel. It's pretty cool. I don't know how you do it. I really need to start doing cold baths. I still haven't, but yeah,
I'll with the shower and then work your way up. And
I'm doing contrast showers now, so I already started doing this.
That's a great way. That is a great way to get into it. I love it. Keep it up. Check back with us on that.
Yeah, and then of course you need to also preserve your NAD levels. So for instance, if, as we said, if you're exposing yourself into sunlight all the time, it's not a good thing for yourself, okay? So because you will be having those DNA breaks on your skin, so you would like to avoid that. Another way is to actually clear your body of senescent cells. And senescence is probably a subject of another episode we can record together. Yeah, and it's basically some dead cells that are floating around your body and just secreting nasty inflammatory signals, because they're basically zombie cells, and with those signals can turn other cells into zombie cells. And what happens is that because our senescent cells are increasing with age, we also have an increased amount of those of what we call inflammaging, actually. So it's like a whole inflammation that is increasing with age. And with that, there is actually an enzyme that is called CD38, which is also increasing as we age, and is because it's being secreted by those senescent cells. So one way to actually clear your body from senescent cells and reduce your CD38 levels would be through fasting, because fasting is what activates autophagy, which is the clearance mechanism inside our cells. And if you are doing, let's say, 20 hours of fasting every day, you will eventually be having this process running in the background. I mean, some people argue and they say that autophagy is activated at 24 hours or 36 hours, but it's a good practice in general to kind of intermittently fasting during the day. But then of course, if you can do like 2-3 days fast, this is amazing. This will clear quite a lot of senescent cells. And then the other way to kind of reduce your CD38 levels would be to actually take a teaspoon of parsley, dried parsley. I don't know if you know
parsley.
about it.
This is okay. Tell me more about this one.
Yeah, so basically parsley contains another plant compound that is called Apigenin. And what Apigenin does is it blocks the CD38. And because NAD is basically a molecule where multiple players in the cell are competing for NAD, CD38 is one of them. So if you decrease the CD38, then you have more NAD for your sirtuins. So you see how it's all a circuit. It's really, really cool.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now we got it. Okay. So if I were, do I need to have it like fresh parsley, or is it okay to get like the dried parsley, or how does that work?
The dried parsley is the best, but it would be best to do it yourself at home. So just get some fresh parsley and then dry it up so it would be fresh. If you leave it in the sun or whatever,
like a dehydrator or something,
it's gonna dehydrate, and as a result, its Apigenin levels will actually increase. I don't know how, but this is what we.
Oh my God! Okay. So there's a new thing I've got to start doing now. So because this sounds like I love low-hanging fruit. This sounds pretty easy to get into the habit of doing. So would you do this every day, or would this be like just every now and then, or what would you recommend?
I mean, I think that, if you can have a tablespoon of dried parsley every day, it wouldn't be that bad.
I love it. And at least it doesn't, it's better than it's like something like incredibly spicy or weird to taste. I guess parsley isn't, I guess I'm fortunate. It doesn't taste like soap to me. I guess there's some people out there that is it parsley that tastes like soap to some people, or I forget what that is. But anyway, so that's cool. Awesome. Okay. Any other tips? Blow my mind, please.
I think that no, we're done with the tips.
Okay.
Mentioned everything already, the main ones. So yeah, there are actually, as you said, a lot of low-hanging fruits that someone can start doing every day. And then, of course, you know, whatever, whenever you're stressing your body, your NAD basically gets consumed. So you know, if you haven't slept for you know, for many hours, or if you're consuming alcohol, because, you know, alcohol processing is actually a very heavy process in the body. So your liver needs to work quite a lot to digest it. And with this, NAD is consumed as well. So, you know, just general, there is no, you know, no one universal cure for aging, right? You need to have a really nice routine, and you need to treat your body with respect, basically, to make sure that, you know, everything works well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that explains the whole hangover thing. I got it. So, okay. So you mentioned another compound that it's what is it? TMG. TMG. Okay. So you mentioned that one. Is that something, you said you wanted to kind of wait till the end of the interview. Is that something that we can look forward to maybe having from your company, or?
Absolutely, yeah. So we're going to have it within a few weeks, and it's a great pairing with NMN if you're taking NMN. And you know, in terms of what we're looking at the moment is to develop basically a range of proprietary compounds that will be looking into boosting NAD, boosting autophagy, things like that. So really cool stuff. I'm really excited about it, because by the end of the year we should be having quite a few products out, and you know, I would be happy to talk more about.
Tell me, yes, please. Because I'm excited. The big thing is, like I said earlier, I reached out to you specifically because I you know, especially in the United States, it's completely unregulated when it comes to supplements. So, and I'm really picky, you know, I have to be picky because who knows what you're putting in your body, and I really care about that. So what else can you offer me? What else is coming down the pike?
Yeah, so what's coming is also a very high quality trans resveratrol, which is also sirtuin activator. So we need to understand that those two are actually working in pairs. So you have the NMN, which is the sirtuin fuel, and you have the resveratrol, which is the sirtuin activator. So when you take them together, it's a really cool combination. And another thing that I love adding into my personal routine is actually a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil when I'm taking my NMN. So because it actually has quite a similar, you know, action to resveratrol, and it's really good for you, and it kind of amplifies the effect. And then with this, you know, we will also have the TMG, the trimethylglycine. So it's basically a glycine molecule with 3 methyl groups on it. And then it also gives you all of these methyl groups to kind of, again, optimize the NMN action in the cells. So it's really cool. It's going to be our core routine. And then from there, as I said, more proprietary blends that we can discuss later on in another episode.
Oh my gosh, you're going to leave me hanging. That's awesome though. That's cool. So we got, we've got NMN Bio, and so if you guys would like to try NMN Bio, you can take a look at the link below, or you can just go to, let's see, it's nmnbio.co.uk. What, one more time?
nmnbio.co.uk.
Okay. So that is nmnbio.co.uk. And then you can use the promo code. It's JCoomer10 for 10% off of your purchase. And so I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation, because I've got all kinds of things I need to nerd out on you, but we have limited time today. So I appreciate, thank you so much for coming on. I'm looking forward to more in the future. And again, guys, check out NMN Bio. And just another big thanks to Dr. Elena Seranova. And that's it. Guys, go out there. Have a great day. Don't forget to be kind to one another.